The Prime Minister announcing some privileges for those vaccinated. Health Minister Renwood Wells giving COVID-19 update in Parliament today, and more vaccines on the way. Good evening, everyone. I'm Lissy Bastian with your JCN News for this Wednesday, April 21st. Thanks for staying with us. As thousands of Bahamians and residents take their first dose of the COVID-19 vaccination, the Prime Minister is relaxing health and safety protocols for fully vaccinated individuals. With the details, we go to our Leah Cooper.
Effective May 1st, international visitors and returning residents who are fully vaccinated and have passed the 2-week immunity period will not be required to present a negative COVID RT-PCR test. This coming from Prime Minister Dr. Hubert Minnis during his communication in the lower chamber this morning. He says this much off the heels of the Centers for Disease Control announcing earlier this month that fully vaccinated people can resume domestic travel and do not need to get tested before or after travel or self-quarantine. The Prime Minister adds that once individuals are fully vaccinated, they can participate in a closed environment with other vaccinated individuals.
Because that means that indoor dining can resume for those individuals who are completely vaccinated. It also means, Mr. Speaker, from a cultural perspective, that those like myself who participate in jumping, once we are all vaccinated, we can work within the jumping shops among us all vaccinated individuals.
Quoting Chair of the COVID-19 Consultative Vaccine Committee, Dr. Mercelyn Dowell-Regis, insisting that the government return to heightened surveillance and contact tracing, Dr. Minnis says he met with representatives of the testing laboratories yesterday and reminded them of the requirement to submit COVID-19 test results to the Ministry of Health surveillance team.
I also reminded them, Mr. Speaker, of the fine penalty for not submitting the test results as required. I reminded them that the fine for such an event is $20,000. The requirement to submit data will be tightened for the RT-PCR test results being submitted within 24 hours. There will be stiffer penalties for the failure to abide by this requirement.
The Prime Minister added that the enforcement of emergency orders will also be increased and enhanced, and he's asking members of the public to please comply. He's also asking businesses that are able to do so to have their employees work from home where possible to decrease the spread of COVID-19, noting that this is a voluntary request. Add to that, effective immediately, the daily curfew for mainland Abaco will be moved from 8 p.m. to 5 a.m. to 10 p.m. to 5 a.m. Dr. Minnis stresses that these times require perseverance and making decisions based on what is required to protect our people. Reporting for JCN News, I'm Leah Cooper.
While New Providence remains the epicenter and the greatest contributor for the country's total COVID-19 infections, Health Minister Renwood Wells this morning during his contribution in the House of Assembly noted that there has been a decrease in cases on Abaco, Eleuthera, and Grand Bahama.
In Abaco, for example, 12.5 new cases on average each week was being reported for the last 2 months. Last week, Abaco reported one new case. Mr. Speaker, this quieting decreasing is in part due to the special mission in Streets Island. From the 30th of March to the 1st of April 2021, a health team was dispatched to Eleuthera to assess and intensify contact tracing activities there, with special emphasis on Howard Island. Similarly, activity occurred on the islands of Abaco, and a team is currently
Minister Wells says the team visiting Eleuthera determined the number of COVID-19 positive cases, assessed whether there was a need for widespread testing, evaluated the manpower on the ground to enforce policies and procedures, commenced the rollout of COVID-19 vaccinations, made recommendations for improvements which include the acquisition of additional staff to augment the existing staff complement on the island, and encouraged residents and visitors to adhere to the public health guidelines. The team also trained personnel on updated protocols for quarantine and isolation and assisted with contact tracing activities, enforcing quarantine and isolation measures on Harbor Island. He noted conclusions made by the National Reference Laboratory's conclusion regarding COVID-19 variants. The NRL completed screening of some 120 COVID-19 positive samples collected from the 13th of March to the 17th of April this year.
There has been a weekly steady increase in the percentage of samples carrying the characteristic mutation present in all three of the variants. In the week of the 13th to the 19th of March 2021, approximately 20% of the COVID-19 positive samples screened contained the variant mutation. That's at the beginning of March. And during the most recent week, the analysis from the 11th to the 17th of April, last week, 2021, an alarming 80% of the sample screened, positive samples, contained the variant mutation.
That said, Mr. Wells says this trend in the data indicates that one or more of the variants of concern entered the Bahamas, likely sometime in early March. Further, the variants have rapidly come to dominate our COVID-19 infections in the country. The minister also revealed yesterday's COVID figures.
On Tuesday, yesterday, 20th of April, 2021, there were 68 newly confirmed cases of COVID-19. Up, Mr. Speaker, up from the 9 cases reported on Monday the 19th of April. This brings the total number of confirmed cases in the Bahamas to 9,816.
In New Providence, there are 18 hospitalized COVID-19 patients at Doctors Hospital, 15 are moderately ill, and 3 are currently in the intensive care unit. There are 6 moderately ill COVID-19 patients being treated at the South Beach Acute Care and Referral Center. At the Princess Margaret Hospital, there are 18 moderately ill patients with COVID-19. There are no patients in the ICU at PMH at this time. In all, there are 464 active cases of COVID-19. 81 persons have been recently classified as recovered from the virus. This brings the total number of recoveries to 9,140 for a recovery rate of 92%. There were no deaths confirmed yesterday. The total number of confirmed COVID-19 deaths now stand at 194. 26 deaths remain under investigation. More doses of COVID-19 vaccines on the way for the country. Chair of the National COVID-19 Vaccine Consultative Committee, Dr. Mercelin Dalregis, revealing as much on Tuesday during the committee's update on the rollout of vaccine in country. Dr. Dalregis says the Bahamas can expect another shipment of the Oxford AstraZeneca before the end of next month.
We are pleased to report that the Bahamas has been informed by the Pan American Health Organization that it will receive the second tranche of the AstraZeneca vaccines through the COVAX facility before the end of May. This tranche will consist of 33,000 doses. This leaves a remaining 34,200 doses to be received through the COVAX facility. The AstraZeneca COVID-19 vaccine is a 2-dose regimen, and we are committed to it. The administration of the second dose of this vaccine will begin on the 10th of May.
According to Dr. Dal Regis, those who have received their first dose will receive an email notification of their scheduled time to receive the second dose. Once one has been notified, they should make an appointment online at vax.gov.bs. Now, when asked if the vaccine committee is making any consideration to procure other vaccines beside the AstraZeneca, Dr. Dal Regis says this.
All efforts are being made to access the vaccine, the other options. We've made direct contact. The Pfizer vaccine requires ultra-cold storage, and that is not available, particularly in our archipelago. The Moderna directly told us we could put in an order for 2022. And Johnson & Johnson, that's currently available, said that they don't have they don't have the supplies. But given that the COVAX facility, we benefited from the COVAX facility, we could not be in their queue to receive Johnson & Johnson vaccines.
To date, more than 21,000 doses of the AstraZeneca vaccine have been administered in country, an average of 1,364 doses per day. You're watching JCN News. When we return, PAHO warns against misinformation of the COVID-19 vaccine, and the Bahamas National Trust has a new logo. Stay with us.